face the future.
Hi everyone, Full Metal Jayce here, and today I'm going to be going over the new Dark Harvest rune for Jayce, and I'm going to be explaining why it is best in slot for Jayce mid. Let's begin with explaining the new rune. Damaging a champion below 50% HP deals adaptive damage and harvests their soul, permanently increasing Dark Harvest's damage by 8. So every stack you get 8 permanent bonus damage added to the total damage based on level, which is 50 to 80. Plus, you get 25% bonus AD scaling of your total attack damage towards the overall scaling of it. So, generally, by the 20-minute mark or so, you want to have 15 to 20 stacks, give or take, as at that point it becomes stronger than Electrocute if you are able to get 12 to 15 stacks because of the way it scales. Next to that, you want to run Sudden Impact because it's the best rune out of this tree because it has permanent uptime with Jayce's hammer form. Because of the way you interact with his leap, you are able to have this at full uptime. Afterwards, I've been experimenting with Ghost Poro. I've actually been enjoying Ghost Poro more because it gives you instantaneous attack damage early, level 1. So if you go ward, say the River Bush and at the Pixel Bush, either side with the Poro, it not only gives you vision, but it also gives you attack damage until someone comes and scares it off. And if they come and scare it off, well, congratulations, you just gained vision of the enemy that scared it off. Next to that, Ravenous Hunter has always been my best keystone for this page as well. Nothing changed, funny enough, by the way, guys. I just want to point that out. Nothing in the rune page that I've been running for Jayce mid this entire season of Season 8 and now going into preseason, the only thing that changed is literally Dark Harvest from Electrocute, and then the addition of the flex runes now, where instead of the pages being limited by what rune page you went gave you bonuses, it's now offense, flex, and defensive runes, which we're gonna get to that in a second. Then the other thing is because they buffed the rune pages to where now you get these 3 for offense, flex, and defense, you're now able to benefit more from running this page because you get the full attack damage value, whereas before the preseason patch hit, you were losing out 4 attack damage from running this page because of the natural attack speed that Precision Secondary gave you. But again, the reason why I run Triumph is because I have had so many fights benefit me through getting takedowns and restoring 12% of my missing health, whether it's through 1v1ing someone and surviving an Ignite tick, or simply being the front line for a team fight to be the front line, essentially. And then Bloodline is another very, very vital rune because of the way I'm able to passively stack lifesteal, because in most games, when you can get 8% lifesteal by the 12 to 15 minute mark, and even earlier than that, between 4 to 8%, it helps your sustainability insanely with Jayce's W passive as well. So you're able to stay in lane very efficiently without ever having to worry. But this is the rune page for Jayce mid. This is the page you are going to run 95 to 90% of your games when you go mid lane. But the only time the page really would ever vary is when you're top lane against hyper tanks. So against tanks that are able to abuse armor stacking, such as Scion, Maokai, Ornn, Poppy, and so on, Aerie is without a doubt a better summoner spell, or sorry, a rune to be able to harass because you get consistent damage off, whereas most champions can either block, shield, or sustain through your Dark Harvest, or as in Electrocute, and it just becomes very ineffective in laning. And I really do feel that in top lane against hyper tanks, this page is much more efficient at laning because not only do you gain extra mana from Mana Flow Bond, but the movement speed bonus that they reworked with Celerity, where you get all movement speed bonuses, are 8% more effective on you. It is a bit of an unfortunate, nerf where it no longer gives you bonus AD based on movement speed bonus, but this new change isn't for the worst because you can stack water walking plus your movement speed from your gate gets increased plus a lot of number of things. It really does benefit, so it's not terrible to run this, which is why I still think it's better to run Celerity than Transcendence, because through your build you get max CDR anyways, and then adaptive absolute focus is only relevant when you're above 70% HP. So, and when you're not, it's not very good. And then again, Triumph and Bloodline for the insane sustainability. And then you run offense adaptive, flex adaptive, and then the defense tree is really based on matchup. If you're against an AD tank, you go armor. If you're against a magic resist opponent, like say Victor Top or not too sure what, which Victor Top you could probably go Dark Harvest anyways, but you get the point. This is 100% based on your lane matchup. But yeah, I'm glad we got to go over that. And let's go over to the build section. Okay, now for the build, nothing really changed. Again, I'm just going to go over the key items that Jayce needs to have for effectively laning. And we're going to start with his first purchase, which is a longsword and refillable potion. The reason for this is because buying a longsword instead of a Doran's Blade level 1 allows you to invest your gold more efficiently and effectively to a Dirk immediately, because you can spend 750 gold on your first back to upgrade to a Dirk immediately. And the faster you get a Dirk, the stronger you become earlier in your levels, like level 3, 4, and 5. If you can get a Dirk early, you will win lane through pure pressure of, dominance. After your Dirk, you always want to rush Ghostblade first item every single game. Ghostblade is your core item every single time. Very rarely will Ghostblade not be your first item, and the only time that will happen is whenever you're against a tank top lane and you feel the only time it would be better to get a Black Cleaver is when you're against said tank. Otherwise, your typical build will look like this. If you get into a game where you're doing really well and you have a good lead and you can get your 2-item power spike before 20 minutes, you will always want to go Ghostblade, Duskblade, and then you either opt for a Black Cleaver or a Last Whisper based on how they're scaling against you. If they're starting to stack armor and they're realizing that you're the threat, you go Last Whispers at third, and then you get your Black Cleaver, and then you get GA, and then after your first item, you decide for your boots, and so on and so forth. And again, this right here is the most optimal build for Jayce, I truly feel. And the only varying component here is basically where you decide to fill in for Black Cleaver. So in a game where I'm against a tanky team and I don't want to opt for a for a Duskblade second as I would for this game, I would go Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, Last Whisper for insane armor shred versus tanky teammates, and then I would either opt for a GA or for a Death's Dance for better 1v1 survivability or just overall, tankiness. And again, like I said, there's no difference because the 3 typical builds you will go is always going to be Ghostblade, Duskblade, Black Cleaver, or it's going to be Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, GA, or it's going to be Ghostblade, Last Whisper, Black Cleaver. And the only time you would ever get a Blast Whisper second is whenever you're going against an enemy team that is severely stacking armor against you, making it very hard for you to scale. So the sooner you buy a Last Whisper as a second item in that scenario, the better you scale. But that is about it. That wraps up the build path. Feel free to ask any questions, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I also hope you guys learned a lot about the Jayce runes and build path. And again, this is all explained in my previous videos. I'm just recapping and updating and going over to explain for the future preseason. And yeah, thank you for watching. You guys have a good day.